Hello and welcome. My name is Jim Frankel, and I am the founder and director of MusicFirst. It's my pleasure to present this session, Easy Assessment on Any Device, to you at this virtual conference. So let's dive right in and talk about what MusicFirst actually is. So in 2012, I had the privilege of being able to design a product for music education. And at that point in time, I realized that while there were many different software titles out there in varying levels of efficacy for teachers, and everything was starting to turn online, Chromebooks were just becoming a thing back in 2012. I realized that it would be really helpful for music educators if there was one place, one website where they could access everything they would need to help kind of bolster their music education program at their school. And that's how MusicFirst was born. The name MusicFirst, and I was lucky enough to be able to name a company, is all about my philosophy of technology in music education. And that is really that it should be entirely focused on music making, on music learning, on music assessment. And the technology should really take a back seat to both music and good teaching. Without a good music teacher, it doesn't matter what kind of technology you have, it's not going to go well. So music, the most important subject in a school, is first. um, Good teaching, solid music teaching is second, and technology is a very distant third. So those were the things that were running through my head when I designed this. And at its essence, MusicFirst is the only comprehensive learning management system for K-12 music education. There are absolutely other products out there, and they're all really wonderful. But what we do, which makes us unique and different, is that we are the most comprehensive approach to incorporating technology into your music program. And how we differ from things like Google Classroom, Canvas, and Schoology, which is a question we get a lot. Those are great learning management systems, but they weren't created for music teachers. You were not what they were thinking about when they were designing everything. So when I created MusicFirst, Google Classroom wasn't a thing. And all I thought about for a year and a half was, what can we do to make a music teacher's life easier and have them spend less time in administrivia and more time teaching? And the thing that differentiates us most from Canvas, Schoology, and Google Classroom is our content and our software. So if you ever open up Canvas, Schoology, or Google Classroom for the first time and you go, oh, I wonder what I could do with this, there is absolutely nothing in those platforms for you as a music teacher. When you open up MusicFirst Classroom for the first time, you'll see a tab called Content, which I'll be showing you a little later. And that Content tab has 6 huge buckets of content. Depending on what you teach, you can go in there, you can use the content that we've already created, and that's units, lesson plans, tasks, assessments, or even courses. You can use it, you can edit it, anything that you see, you can adapt it, you can create your own, obviously. So that content library is huge. And the other thing is that we offer a suite of 10 different software titles. So some of our competitors, they'll offer one thing. We offer this learning management system, the content, and 10 different software titles, which you can pick and choose from depending on the needs of your program and the goals that you have. So most important, and think was something that I am personally very proud of, is that MusicFirst works on every single platform. So that's phones, iPads, tablets, uh, laptops, Chromebooks, desktops. However you get to the internet, you can use MusicFirst. So for example, the vast majority of students that we're teaching in our classrooms, the minute they leave the school building, the phone comes out of their pocket or their backpack, and they're immediately on things like Snapchat, TikTok, texting, whatever they're doing. They're on that phone pretty much every waking hour that they're not in school. And sometimes, obviously, they're in it, sneaking it while they're in school. And in this virtual kind of COVID learning environment that we are now, most kids have their Chromebook open, they're doing school, but their phone is right next to that Chromebook, and they're carrying on alternate conversations with their friends. So without being able to use that phone, without kids being able to access stuff on the phone, we at Music First think that's a huge barrier. So we recommend strongly that you use the Chrome browser. So no matter what device you're using, as long as you can get to the Chrome browser, you'll have an optimized experience with the software. And the reason for that is that music software developers develop their software with Chrome in mind because there are two huge resources. One is called Web Audio, the other is called Web MIDI, that were made primarily for Chrome. And so you can do things like make recordings, you can play and be assessed, and that's over the Chrome browser. Now, there are other browsers that are doing that now. Safari, for example. Safari is a really not very good browser at all, but they did allow access to the microphone, so some applications now are working on Safari, but we strongly recommend Chrome. The one thing that always gets in the way is our good friends at Apple Computer have made it impossible to access the microphone from the Chrome browser on an iOS device for an iPhone and an iPad. For those of you going, wait, that's what? If you have an iPhone or an iPad, you can actually get the Google Chrome app. The problem is that when you open it, the microphone of your device will not be recognized by that Chrome browser. So instead, Apple made us, and makes every software company, create their own app if they want people to use Chrome. So we have a free app called the MusicFirst Student app. Kids can download it on their own devices, enter in the URL, and they're good to go. Anyway, here are the 10 software titles that I was mentioning a little earlier. All of these software titles have some form of assessment built into them. So there's some really great stuff here. But I'll just go around the horn. Focus on Sound is an encyclopedia of instruments and musical terminology, and it comes with dozens and dozens of pre-made lessons and hundreds of pre-made quizzes. Generator is a beat making app, so kids can make beats for hip hop or whatever they want to create on their own. Really, the kids love this app very much. Practice First is our automated red note, yellow note, green note assessment. So students can sing or perform into their computer, and it will tell them how well they did and give them a numeric score. Sight Reading Factory is the most popular and in my opinion, just an absolutely phenomenal tool for teaching kids how to sight read and getting them better at it. It's one of those skills that you only get good at by practicing. So Sight Reading Factory is great. Aurelia is an ear training program with hundreds and hundreds of built-in quizzes that you can give your students that you don't have to create on your own. You just use the quizzes that are already there, or you can customize your quizzes. Musician focuses on music theory. So ear training and music theory, they're both from a fabulous company from Australia called Rising Software. They've been around for a long time. Flat for Education and Note Flight Learn are both notation products, really great for getting students to do creative projects, music theory assignments. But also Note Flight has added a new assessment kind of component to their software called Soundcheck. They did that over the summer. Uses the same exact assessment algorithm as Practice First, and it's fabulous. So anything that you create in NoteFlight, if you add Soundcheck to it, you can assess it. And then last but not least, we have two digital audio workstation or GarageBand-like software programs. That's Soundation for Education and Soundtrap EDU. Soundation is the only one of the software titles that we sell that does not work at all on iOS devices. So no iPhone, no iPad. That's why a lot of people switched over to Soundtrap, because Soundtrap does work on iPhones and iPads. So if you are a music educator, and let's say you're a middle school band orchestra teacher who also teaches general music, there's a software configuration for you. If you're a high school band director, there's a software configuration. If you're an elementary general music teacher, we have another product completely called MusicFirst Junior. If you're an elementary choir director, you could use things like Sight Reading Factory and Practice First. If you're a high school orchestra teacher, Practice First, Sight Reading Factory, and maybe ear training and music theory. Again, depends on your goals, what you want to get out of the platform, you choose. So it's completely customizable, and no two MusicFirst implementations are alike. So anyway, let's get into the assessment possibilities with MusicFirst and the MusicFirst classroom. So within our learning management system, we have the ability for students to make audio recordings, and those are with or without backing tracks that you can provide. We allow students to upload video performances or video of themselves. You can either integrate Flipgrid into our platform, or you can use our video submission task type. You can do critiques, so you can embed any other web content into our platform. So let's say that you found an all-state junior high school choir singing a piece that you're performing at your spring concert. You can embed that video in a task and have students watch it and then write a critique and hand that critique in. We have hundreds and hundreds of pre-made quizzes and tests that have things like multiple choice, true, false, matching, fill in the blank, and extended responses. We have discussion questions that can be threaded discussion boards, or you can just have the kids you ask a question and they reply. We have file uploads. So if students are using Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or some other program and you want them to hand in a file format that isn't part of MusicFirst Classroom, there is a file upload feature, which is great. You can embed anything that you find on the web. So for example, Flipgrid, which I mentioned, musictheory.net, you can have students do musictheory.net exercises. And when they hand in their copy link or their copy code, they hand that into you and it becomes a link in the gradebook, which is very simple for you to access. And then if you're using things like Edpuzzle, which is a great video kind of commentary thing, it's fabulous. You can make interactive videos or quizzes. You can anything else that you find on the web that you like, you can bring in to MusicFirst Classroom. And what's most, I think the coolest thing is that when students, the more they're working in the platform, the more they are adding to their own digital portfolios, and those are all accessible with one click. So software, the software which I just showed you a little earlier, I talked about that many of them have assessment components built in. So Practice First with No Flight and Soundcheck are your automated performance assessment tools. Sight Reading Factory is your sight reading tool. It does not do automatic assessment, but it does do audio recordings that the students can hand into you. Aurelia and Musician, Ear Training and Music Theory, are auto-graded quizzes. Focus on Sound has hundreds of pre-made quizzes. Soundtrap and Soundation are great for creative projects as well as virtual ensemble recordings. And Flat and Note Flight, like I mentioned earlier, are notation-based assessments as well as creative projects. So in MusicFirst Classroom, we have 4 types of software integrations. And this is very unique. No other platform does this. We have the ability for you to create a generic task. And what that means is that, hey, students, I'd like you to go into Practice First and you choose the piece that you want to assess yourself on and hand that in. That's really a massive time saver and very unique to the platform, letting the kids go in and find their own pieces rather than you assigning everything for them. We have specific tasks. So let's say in Sight Reading Factory, you want your students to do a specific level of difficulty and a specific key signature and time signature. You can do that. You can go in and specify exactly what you want the students to do. Or for example, with Sight Reading Factory, you can make a generic task, which goes, you pick the key, you pick the level of difficulty, you choose the time signature. So template tasks is where the teacher has to put in a lot of input. For example, if there's an audio recording task, let's say you're teaching jazz band and you love Jamie Aebersold kind of improvisation backing tracks, you can upload a backing track to the platform and have your students record themselves over that backing track. So you're doing like half the work. You can go into something like Soundtrap and lay down an accompaniment and have your virtual choir, orchestra, band members record themselves over that accompaniment. So again, it's you creating about half the task. And then last but not least is free play. And that is what I think is so exciting. The students at any time they want can open any of the software titles that you're providing for them and use it without being assigned anything. So you don't have to assign them something in Note Flight or Flat. They can go into Flat, compose something totally on their own without an assignment. And if they really love what they do and they want to share it with you, they can. So those are the 4 different types of software integrations that MusicFirst provides. So now let's take a look, and we're going to go in and I'm going to show you the actual platform. So when you log in as a teacher, this is your dashboard, right? So you'll see the classes that you're currently teaching. You'll see there's a little question mark up here where all of our tech support is. You can go in and watch video tutorials or read our user guide. You can choose what language you would like the platform to be in, not the content, but all the navigation. You can scroll down, you can and see helpful videos. Our tech support team is second to none. They'll help you get trained and make you sure you understand what you're doing. But then there are 4 main tabs up here, and the software tab is where all the software that you've decided to purchase lives. The resources are free. We include them with every purchase. You can get Flipgrid integrated directly in. You can bring in anything from your Google accounts or your G Suite, if you will. So Docs, Sheets, Forms, anything like that, YouTube. Intune Monthly, we provide a free subscription for every teacher and student. You can go in and assign students a reading and have them react to it. As I mentioned earlier, musictheory.net, you can give your students musictheory.net activities to do. Musictheory.net is a great free resource, but it's very difficult and clunky for students to hand things in, so we think we've done it pretty innovatively. Shed the Music, in my opinion, is like Khan Academy. Lots of great videos and handouts, and they also have some extra curriculum that you can purchase. Really great stuff from 2 fabulous music teachers. And then Spotify. Spotify is obviously a fantastic way to share audio tracks with your students. So that's the resources tab. The content tab is where I mentioned earlier, where all of our content lives in 6 large buckets. So band, chorus, orchestra, music theory, general music, and then MusicFirst assessments. Because this session is all about assessments, let's click on that. So when I go in here, these are all of the pre-made assessments that are available to you. Now, for example, while it says there's a couple of hundred here, we built for the state of Texas. They have a statewide assessment that is optional. We created hundreds and hundreds of pre-made assessments for those, so you can go in and check those out whenever you want. There are literally hundreds and hundreds, so you can see those, and they're categorized by grade level, by type, and by topic. So for example, if you're looking for a specific music theory assessment, you can click on this, and there's a whole bunch of formative assessments that focus on music theory, as well as a whole bunch of key signature, time signature quizzes, all kinds of great content in here. Just to show you, if I click on one random, let's go to key signature quiz number 3, flats and sharps. I can go in here and preview it and see what this is all about. Say, oh, and I look through here, and if you've ever tried to make a quiz like this in Google Forms, then you know how much time this takes. It takes a long time to create these because you have to create screenshots, save them as pictures, import them, and then create all of those responses. So we've made all these for you. They're already there. And if you say, oh my, this is great, I would like to use this assessment now, you just click on it. And then you can click the class that you want to share it with. So I'm using Appleton Middle School Band as my demo class today for this session, Appleton Middle School Band. And I say, yeah, this looks good. I can tag it to whatever set of standards I want to. I don't have to. And yeah, this looks good. I'm going to click Create Assessment. What this does is it copies it from that content library into the class I'm teaching. So now I'm in Appleton Middle School Band. I can go in and edit that assessment, decide whether or not I want these questions there or not. I can see how many points this is worth. So I'm going to say, you know what, this is, let's go in here. Actually, I'm not going to change that. I think it looks good. But I would have the ability to go in and change any of the questions that I want. I'm going to schedule this really simple. I can go in here. I can decide whether or not I want to make it a timed assessment, meaning the minute the students start, they get like you have 10 minutes left to finish this. When can they see it? So I can do a little bit of front loading. Today, the day I'm recording this session is the last day of November. So I could say this is going to be available for a 24-hour period and click Save Changes. And now it's ready for the students. I can then just click Visible. I can decide whether or not I want to share this in Google Classroom, which is really helpful. Yeah, I'm ready to go. If I go and manage the questions, just to show you what it looks like, it shows me how many points each question is worth. So 1 point, they're all worth 1 point. I can go in and change that. If I say, you know what, I want to make these worth 10 points each, I can go in and click on that and change the point value up here to 10. But for right now, I'll keep it that way. You get the idea. Again, that content library, tons and tons of stuff. So what I'd like to do now is shift over to what software is available and what some of the assessments are that are there. We're about a third of the way through the session. So I'm going to go to the software and I'm going to choose Focus on Sound. Focus on Sound is a fabulous encyclopedia of both instruments and musical topics. So let's say I wanted to give my students a quiz. And I know that right now that you're probably in this kind of COVID-induced virtual, hybrid, or something in between learning environment. So whether your students are there with you in the classroom, whether it's a hybrid approach or virtual, you can give your students these quizzes. So let's say you're let's say you're a band director. I'm going to go in and give my kids a quiz today on brass instruments. So all brass instruments, I can decide level 1 or level 1 and 2. So I'll keep it simple, level 1. And there's a whole bunch of different question types. So here's what it looks like. Press the audio to reveal the picture. What instrument is this? Now I happen to be a tuba player, so I knew that one. I'm going to click next. It's keeping a running tally. Right, so what instrument? Again, so a variety of different question types. Right, let's keep going, a couple more. All right, so I think that was a trumpet. Yep, I'm right. Okay, so let's do a couple more questions just to give you the idea. Now, if your students had never had any introduction to the brass, there is a lesson plan. You understand how the quizzes work. There is a lesson plan. And you can assign this as a threaded lesson so they could just do it. So if I say, hey, I want you to learn about the trumpet, you're going to learn about the trumpet, then you're going to take a quiz, and then you're going to write about it. So let's click Start Lesson. Here's an intro to the trumpet. I click Go. And it brings up a pre-made lesson plan that a music teacher created. So they can read through this. There are hyperlinks all over the place. The red arrow is telling them what they have to do next. So I click the red arrow. I can click play. Right? I hit the red arrow again. Red arrow. And now that I'm done, I click play. Then I can look through all the different things because it really wants me to make sure that I've seen every piece of content here. Don't skip anything. This is great that you don't have to worry about whether the kids are completing the whole assignment or not. They're looking through everything. And once they've looked and clicked on every single button, seen every piece of content, they can continue the lesson plan. Because that's really helpful. I'm going to go back here now. Oh, let's take the quiz on trumpet. Hooray. So we're going to click Start Test. How many valves? All right, let's click Next. That happens to be a mute. What is the accompaniment? Happens to be a pipe organ. He's playing along with a rhythm section. There is, of course, Louis Armstrong. I was wrong. It's actually a quintet. I thought I did not hear the piano. All right, well, bad for me. I hear timpani for sure. Let's click Next. All right, so he's improvising. And valves increase the length of the tubing. True or false? True. All right, last question. Which valve controls the shortest length? 2. So you get the idea. That's that's Focus on Sound. Let's look at another software program, and then we're going to talk about how this actually all fits together. So we're going to go to MusicFirst, which is our automated performance assessment software title. Oh, and it just so happens that I got right to what I wanted to get to, which is a very short sight singing exercise. So I'm going to do that. I'll click on that. And I'm going to choose, I'm going to go a little bit risky here and go to level 2, exercise number 3. I can choose which part I would like to be assessed on, in this case, the bass part. I'm going to click record. It's going to give me the opening pitch and then a count in. So here we go. I'm going to get a few notes wrong on purpose just to show you what that assessment feedback looks like. Do, re, mi, sol, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Re, mi, fa, mi, re, do. So you saw that I got a couple of mistakes. My score is an 88%. It is yellow because the teacher has told me, or at least in the default setting, is that you have to get at least a 90 if you want to hand it in. But that 88 is broken down by the length played, so 100% of it, I did the whole thing. My pitch score was a 76, but my rhythm score was a 100. So rhythmically, I was great. Pitch, not so much. So let's close this and show you what the assessment feedback looks like. And I can tell you this with all honesty, I am so proud of the amount of feedback that you're going to see. Rather than just coloring the note heads red, yellow, or green, this is ongoing, continuous assessments. So what you do is you take your mouse and you mouse over and it will tell you what you did wrong. So yellow means it wasn't totally right, but it wasn't totally wrong. It was something in between. And that yellow, you'll see here, it's really tinted green. You were moderately flat, right? Here, you were really sharp, you were moderately flat, very sharp. If you remember, I sang this note completely wrong. So that was totally wrong. I was very sharp. When I go down here, it's telling me what I've done wrong. I didn't hear the C. You skipped this note altogether. You were sharp. Lots of fabulous feedback. Really, really, really helpful. You can create your own content, or you can use the nearly 40,000 pieces of content that are already in Practice First. So last piece I'm going to show you before showing you how it integrates is I'm going to go into Aurelia. And Aurelia is one of my favorite pieces of software. When I was a middle school strings teacher, to me, one of my largest challenges was teaching my string players how to tune. It wasn't that I didn't know how, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, or how to adjust the fine tuning pegs or the big tuning pegs, but instead getting my students to realize that they were out of tune. They would play out of tune and have no idea whether they were sharp or flat. And for some reason, with my string players, this was a big problem for me until I found Aurelia. So I'm going to launch the browser version. This is Aurelia First, which is a much more inexpensive version of the well-known Aurelia software that's been around for a long time. So I'm going to click Aurelia, and I'm going to go to the tuning exercise that worked like a charm for me. So I'm going to go in here to level 2, and I'm going to click Start. Now, for those of you with perfect pitch, I apologize, but it played the first note in tune, the second note out of tune, and it asks you which is the second note, sharp or flat. Now, I know that sounds really simple for you as a trained musician, but for students, this is not simple at all. Now, there is a lesson plan that is included in Aurelia that you can assign to your students first, but if you just want to assess them on it, this is a perfect way. So let's hear that one more time. So obviously it's very sharp, so I click sharp and hit submit. Again, it's very sharp. One more. This one's a little sharp. All right, so you get the idea. And in musician, same kind of thing. There's all of these different, hey, let's go to note reading, level 3, click start. Enter a B in the bass clef, enter a B on a line or a space. So you enter it, you click submit. What note is this? So it's a different, this is a little different than entering it. So that's a G. And enter a B on a line or a space again. So let's do a space up here, click submit, and enter an F. Now we're up to treble clef. So you get the idea. Really, really great software for reinforcing musicianship skills. And I'm sure you'd agree that during the world of COVID, when you can't be rehearsing in person, these types of activities are really useful. So now what I'd like to do is show you how you can use this to start building a digital portfolio of assessment examples really easily with your students. So I'm going to go into a class that I'm currently teaching, and I'm going to make 5 different tasks, and then I'm going to show you what a student would do. So the first task I'm going to make is a very simple audio recording task, and I'm going to call this record yourself. Really simple. Okay, so record yourself. What type of task? We have 9 different task types. I'm going to choose record audio. I'm going to give them very clear instructions. Obviously, you would do something a little more the script than just record yourself. When is this due? Let's make this due on December 11th. What standards am I addressing with this task? I'm not going to click it for now, but if, say, for example, the core art standards, this would be a performance one, and I can drill down and say, oh, it's these, right? I can add it to my gradebook, make it worth however many points I want. I can decide whether or not I want to add a grading rubric, and I'm going to click Create Task. So I've made an audio recording task. I know that by my icon. I can share this in Google Classroom if I want, really easily. So your students can just go to Google Classroom, click on that assignment. They'll come here, they'll log into us. It'll connect the 2 platforms, and they'll make the recordings, right? Really simple. If I want to upload a backing track, I just click Configure Recorder, and I can upload the backing track. For now, I'm not going to do that. Now I'm going to make another task type. This one's going to be a critique. So I'm going to call this one critique. Right, so critique. What task type is this? This is going to be a watch task. So I'm going to put in a video. So let me go to YouTube. I'm going to look up my favorite composer. So there's Leonard Bernstein conducting symphonic dances from West Side Story. I'm going to copy that URL. All right. I'm going to make a free-form text field, and I'm going to write some very clear instructions. Watch this performance, and then write a 250-word critique. Obviously, you would give them better instructions than just that. But like I said earlier, you can embed any web media here. So I'm going to click Embed, paste in that YouTube link, click OK. Oh, well, that was interesting. All right, let's try that again, folks. It's funny when you're recording when something doesn't go exactly as planned. So let's try that one more time. Maybe I copied the link wrong. I'll copy a different one, just see if this works. Here we go. There's Copeland. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it in. I'll do it using, hold on, the embed media again. All right, there we go. I must have copied the link wrong. I was going very fast, but you get the idea. I copied that video in, watch this performance, critique. So now when is this due? I'm going to make this due on December 4th. I'm sure you're watching this after then, but you get the idea. I'm going to make it worth 100 points. I can assign a grading rubric if I want to. I'm going to click Create Task. So I made an audio recording task. Now I've made a critique task. The next thing I'm going to do is create a focus on sound task. So I want to use one of the pre-made tests in focus on sound rather than me creating my own one. So I'm going to call this Brass Quiz, and I'll use that same one I just did earlier. This is going to be a MusicFirst software task. I have to choose which software I want, and I'm going to say take this quiz. Right? Now what I can do is scroll down, give it a date that it's due. This will also be due on December 11th. This is going to add to the gradebook. I'm going to make this also worth 100 points. Again, you can make it worth however many points you want. I'm going to click Create Task. And what's different about this one is I actually have to open it immediately in Focus on Sound and point to the exact quiz I want them to take. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to go in and search for that. It's always edit mode. I'm going to search for tests. I'm then going to search for brass. I'm going to click on all brass, level 1. Once I get to the first page of the quiz, you'll see that there's an attach button up here. I click attach. It says, are you really sure that you want to attach this? Yes, I am. You've successfully attached it. And voila, you're back here. So again, what I've done now, if I go to my class overview, I can see that so far I've got a few tasks. This one I copied earlier, but I've got record yourself, critique, and brass quiz. I'm now going to make a practice first task, and then you'll get to um, see me as a student do all this, which I'm sure you'll be excited about. So perform this. This is going to be a practice first task, and I'm going to write play this piece. Right. This is going to be due. Let's make this one due December 18th, a little closer to Christmas. I'm going to make this worth 100 points. And click create task. So just like I did with focus on sound, I need to go into practice first and point to the piece of content I want them to assess. So let me click reset filter so you can see there's a whole bunch of other things in here. And I'm going to I'm going to choose something for voice because I'm going to have to sing it. Again, lots of content. I'm going to choose, let's see, holiday tunes. I'm going to choose, let's do, this is going to be great. You're going to love it. I'm going to do Deck the Hall with piano reduction. And I'm just going to click assign to student. I can do all kinds of different advanced options. For now, because of time, I don't want to show them to you, but you can really custom tailor this. What I am going to do is make the grading algorithm easy because I'm going to have to actually record this myself. So I've done that. That's all set. And I'm going to make one last task in Sight Reading Factory. So I'm going in and I'm going to say sight read this. Right, and I'm going to choose Sight Reading Factory, and I'll say sight read this. Really clear instructions. Right. When is this due? Let's make this one due on Christmas because Christmas Eve. So I'll be a kind of a Grinch, and I'm going to make this also worth 100 points. Click create task, just like I did with the previous 4 tasks. Open it in Sight Reading Factory, and decide. I'm going to just say choose your instrument. That's the only instructions. I'm going to do everything else for them. So I'm going to do level 3. They're all different levels of difficulty. I'm not going to let the students choose their key signature. Right? I'm just going to pick it for them. I'm not going to let them choose their time signature. I'm going to choose that for them. You can choose multiple signatures. I'm going to give them only 10 seconds before they have to start recording. I'm going to include a metronome for them and click attach. And I'll include some movable dough so they have something to sing. And I'll click attach assignment to task. Are you sure? Yes, I am. So I just created 5 tasks plus 1 that I stole from the content library. Again, if I go to my class overview, I can see all those tasks. Now, I happen to have a pre-made student, and their name is demo student. So I'm going to go in to that demo student. And as that student, I can see all of the assignments that I have due. These are all the ones that I just created, so they should all look somewhat familiar. So let's see. I'm going to do the key signature quiz first. Again, these are all worth 1 point. It says this quiz contains 10 multiple choice questions. Start assessment. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to do my very best on this. Right? So what key signature is this? What key signature is this? What key signature is this? All right, here we go. I'm going to do my very, very best. I will probably get a few wrong, but you'll forgive me because I'm going real quick. All right, so what is that one? All right, ooh. All right. Doing all my little music theory mnemonic devices to remember. This is B major. This is D flat major. And finish and submit. So I know I got at least one wrong. Are you sure? Yes, I am. I click OK. And I am now done with that assignment. I've done my quiz. Now I go back into my band and see what else I have to do. This one says submitted. In fact, I'm not able to redo it. So that's once it's submitted, it's submitted. I click record yourself. Record yourself. I click record and say, hey, everybody, I'm recording myself. Woohoo! Great instructions. stop recording, I can play it back. Click record and say, hey, everybody, I'm recording myself. I can either discard it and do it again, or I can click submit, which is what I'm going to do. All right, so that's done. And now go back into and I see that I've submitted both of those. I'm going to go to the critique section now. There's Aaron Copeland conducting Appalachian Spring. I'm going to write my great response, which is, this is great. He is a good conductor and composer. And last but not least, he looks kind of old. If you've ever taught kids, you know that's probably about what they're going to write. So I'm going to click submit response. All right, so now I've done 3 out of my 6 assignments. So I'm going to go to my brass quiz now and take that. Now, you all saw that it didn't take me very long to create these assignments. It's putting all the onus and all the work on the kids, which I think is great. What instrument is this? So I'm going to take this whole quiz. All right, so I'm going to do this as I may not do the whole thing because it'll be a long. I'll do it as quickly as I can. All right, here we go. I'm going to get this one wrong on purpose. All right, next. All right. All right, here we go. Identify the instrument, orchestral version, 12 feet of tubing. I'm going to say trumpet. All right, I know that's a French horn. This is obviously a trombone. I'm joking, but I'm going to get it wrong anyway. Okay, there's a tuba. Let's keep going. Hooray. Press the. Really good. I'm almost done. That's a tuba, obviously. Trombone. Which one of these is a trombone? I think it's that one. Next. High sounding brass instruments usually found in. Okay. Great. And next. Trombone. Couple more questions. This is I'm just going to write horn to see if that. Yep, horn and F. So it does. All right. Last question. All right, then I'm done. I click continue and save. Are you sure you want to submit this? Yes, I am. So I've done that quiz. I've got 2 more assignments. Thanks for sticking with me. I'm going to go to perform this. You're going to hear me sing a Christmas carol. I apologize in advance. I'm just going to play the. So I'm going to choose my part, in this case, bass. All right, here we go. Wish me luck. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la, la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la, la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, fa la 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 la, la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, fa la 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 la, la 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 la. Follow me in merry measure, fa la 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 la. While I tell of Yuletide treasure, fa la 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 la. Fast away the old year passes, fa la 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 la, la 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 la. Hail the new ye lads and lasses, fa la 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 la, la 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 la. Sing we joyous all together, fa la la la, la la la. Heedless of the wind and weather, fa la 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 la, la la la. La. Probably way more than you wanted to hear, but there we go. I hope I did well. If I ever had a kid who submitted something like that, I'd be thrilled. I'm going to click submit to teacher. I don't know how well I did. I guess I clicked on that too quickly. Submit to teacher. Again, if I ever had a student hand in something that decent, I would be pretty happy. So I've done that one. Last but not least, Sight Reading Factory. So I go in, I open up Sight Reading Factory. I test my microphone, which is important to make sure that they're not recording for no reason at all. La, 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 la. All right, I'm going to listen to that. La, 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 la. Pretty happy. I'm going to click sounds good. All right, so choose your instrument. I'm going to click bass, and it's going to give me this right away. It's telling me you got 10 seconds. You're going to sing 8 measures of music. Tempo is 100 beats per minute. All right, here we go. Start assignment. Wish me luck. I can hear the opening pitch. All right, I can't play it, so this is true sight reading. Do, ti, do, re, mi, so, la, sol, fa, mi, re, mi, do, mi, fa, sol, mi, re, do. Well, I'm pretty happy with that. By the way, if I click try another, it would give me a brand new example. So I don't think I'm going to do any better than that. I'm going to click submit assignment. Are you sure? Yes, I am. So it uploads my recording as well as the piece of music. So I've done everything. I've done all my homework. I'm a model student. So let me go back here to the Appleton Middle School Band as a teacher. And even though I've done 6 submissions, I only have 3 to grade. And the reason is that 3 of them were automatically graded. That was Focus on Sound, that was Practice First, and that was the quiz, the key signature quiz I gave. So let me see these first. I'm going to go to record yourself just to show you what it looks like. And I can click right here on the submission, and the recording is embedded right there in the grade book. Record and say, hey, everybody, I'm recording myself. Woohoo! Now, if I don't like what the student has done, I can click clear submission. I can add a comment, or I can just give them a grade. So in this case, it was worth 100 points. I'm going to give them a 95. And now I've graded it. So I go back to my main dashboard. I now have 2 things to grade. There's a critique. I go in, and instead of like kid emailing it to me, it's embedded directly in the gradebook. This is great. He's a good conductor and composer. He looks kind of old, right? So I'm going to give this student an 80 on this, and I'm going to give them a comment. This answer is too short. Add comment. Right? Again, I could also just click clear submission. I'm going to go back to my main dashboard, and there's a sight reading example for me to grade. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to click on the submission. It will take me directly to the piece of music that the student actually had to sight read, as well as the recording of it. You do not need to hear any more of that, but this I think was pretty darn good. I'm going to give this student a 96 and click save. Right? And now that will automatically transfer over to this gradebook, which is really helpful. So when I go back to my dashboard, I now have nothing to grade. So what I can do now is go to the gradebook. And in the gradebook, I'll see all the other assignments. So perform this. That was my Deck the Halls. I got a 97. On the key signature quiz, I got an 80%, so I missed 2 answers. And on the brass quiz, I got an 85% because I got a few of them wrong. Now you'll see here that all the grades are hidden. All I need to do is click on the assignment and click show grade. The reason that we hide the grades is we don't want the students to see their grades until everything has been graded. You can obviously make their grades visible whenever you want. But now that I've done that, the student can go in. When I go in back in as a student into my classroom, I can see all of my grades right here on the actual assignments themselves, or I can go to my grade book and see right there where they are or what my grades are. But let me show you what it looks like when I talked about earlier about a digital portfolio. If you click on the student's name themselves, it brings up their actual digital portfolio. Now, I know that may not be the most exciting thing in the world, but to have everything that a student has done for you on one page, and you could just go in here and click on the submission, and now I can go in and see exactly what the students got incorrect. So they messed this one up. It's not D flat major, it's C flat major, right? It tells you, or it's G flat major. It tells you what the students got wrong and what the correct answer was, right? So super helpful to be able to do that. I hope you agree. So if I go back here, I can at any point see what I have to grade, who has recently done something. I can go to my class overview page to check out all of the different submissions, and I can go to my grade book to see what has been handed in and what grades each student has gotten. Now there are assessment groups, so I can click on Add Assessment Group, and I could say these are performance assessments, right? Click Save, and then I'm going to also create an assessment group called Critiques. Click Save, and then I'm also going to make one last category called, let's call this General Knowledge. You can obviously call them whatever you'd like, but I just wanted to show you how you can organize your gradebook. We think our gradebook's fabulous. Now that I've done that, I can click on the actual Reorder Grades button, and you'll see that I have these 3 categories with all of the assignments. So Key Signature Quiz, I'm going to put in General Knowledge, Record Yourself in Performance, Critique and Critique, Brass Quiz and General Knowledge, and you can choose where you want it to appear. Perform this, I'll put that there, and Sight Read this, I'll put that between them. I'll click Save, and now watch what my gradebook looks like. It's all sectioned off with averages for each assessment group, which we think is really, really helpful for you to see how are they doing in performance, how are their critiques. So when I look here, I said, well, they're a really good performer, but their critiques aren't so great, and their general knowledge could probably use some improvement too. I'm going to click on Export, and what that does is exports this entire gradebook, and you can import it into other things like Canvas or Schoology, PowerSchool, eSchool Backpack, any other gradebook program that you have, with the exception, unfortunately, of Google Classroom. They don't do it the same way, but that makes it really, really simple for you to take your grades from here and pull them into any other program. Anyway, last thing I'm going to show you before diving or wrapping up for the day is that there is let's go to NoteFlight. And NoteFlight I'm using, you could use Flat or Soundtrap or Soundation. I'm a huge proponent of doing creative assignments with students. And let's say that you're not the most creative person. You're not used to doing creative assignments with your students. You don't know what to do. Well, here is something fabulous in NoteFlight, and there are other programs that do this, but if you click on NoteFlight, there is a library. So if I click on that in the library, it's just like a regular library. You can check out assignments or check out items from the library. So what I love about the NoteFlight Learn library is that there are composition exercises. If I click on those, there are a whole bunch. Let's see, there's a good whole slew of them. So I'm going to go to, let's go to lucky number 13. So basic composition number 13. And these are pre-made composition assignments for students using the same melody as before. Experiment with the different dynamics, crescendo, diminuendo, and use of tempo. So you're giving them this piece that they're not supposed to rewrite. Instead, they're supposed to add things like dynamics, phrasing, that kind of thing. And if this is something you want your students to do, you click Create Editable Copy. What this does is it copies it from the main NoteFlight library and brings it into your library, your NoteFlight library. And once you've done that, what you can do is go back here. You can create a task, right? And I'm going to call this composition task, right? I'm going to use the NoteFlight Learn, and I'm going to say compose a piece of music. Obviously, those are not the correct instructions, but you get the idea. When is this due? Let's make this due December 21st. I'm going to make this worth 100 points. And I'm going to click Create Task. Just like I did with all the other software tasks, I need to open it in NoteFlight. And here's what's beautiful. As I just checked out that copy, it's going to be right at the top of my list, basic composition number 13. I click on it. I open it up. I make sure that it is saved, which is nice. It told me. I go into the score details. I make sure that I'm sharing it correctly. You have to do this. I'm going to allow this to, I'm going to make this an activity template that all of my students can see. That's in the score details tab. I click save. Once I've done that, I've created the assignment. You'll see right here at the top, there's an attach to page. When I click on that, it asks me if I'm sure, and it brings me, it now assigns this to my students. So if I were to go in as a student to the middle school band, there's a composition task. When I click on this and open it, it should take me directly to that piece of content. And there it is. Now I'm supposed to go in and add some, um, uh, notes or in this case, expression marking. So I'm going to call this mezzo forte. I'm going to call this, let's bring this and make this a fortissimo. And then I'm going to make this a pianissimo. And once I've done, I click save and turn in this score. Really simple. Are you sure? Yes, I am. When I go back in as a teacher to the main dashboard, you'll see, let's see, that what happens with NoteFlight, which is kind of funny, is it automatically gives them a grade of 100, which is great for them, but that's not really what the score is going to be. It's invisible. The kids won't see that. I can go and click on their submission. It brings me directly to what the students did. So I should see the mezzo forte, the fortissimo, and the pianissimo, right? And then I can grade them right here. I'll give them an 88, submit grade. Right. So with that, you get the idea of all the different things you can do in terms of easy assessment with MusicFirst. I'd like to thank you for sticking with me for the whole session. It's not easy to sit on another virtual professional development, but you did it anyway. So thank you. Thank you. Please follow us on Facebook. We have a very vibrant MusicFirst teachers Facebook group. If you're a customer, please join. You'll find out a whole bunch of great things there. We are on Twitter and LinkedIn. We have a very popular podcast series every other week. I interview a different K-12 music educator to show how they're using technology, and during the COVID pandemic that we're in, how they're dealing with all of that. And then we've got a great YouTube video channel, and obviously there are tutorial videos. If you'd like to sign up for a free 30-day trial, go to musicfirst.com and click on the free trial in the upper right-hand corner. Again, my name is Jim Frankel. If you'd like to get in touch with me, my email is jim, J-I-M, @musicfirst.com. Thank you very much. I wish you have a very productive rest of your school year. I'm sure, like me, you can't wait to get back in the classroom with students and start making music in person again. But until that time, I hope you'll consider MusicFirst as one of the many tools that you're using to keep your music programs alive. Thank you so much. Take care.